Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review, and today we'll be talking about the latest DC animated film, Batman and Harley Quinn. Now, I was actually looking forward to this movie, mostly because I'm a die-hard Batman the Animated Series fan. It's one of my favorite shows. It's probably my favorite interpretation of Batman. I just think it's great and spot on. I love it. It's so awesome. So hearing that this movie is going back to that animation style and going back to that world got me excited. Though what I wasn't excited about was the plot of the movie and basically the fact that the title is Batman and Harley Quinn. So you know what you're gonna get, basically. And yeah, I got exactly what I thought I was. And the problem was, it's not very good. Basically, the plot of the film has Poison Ivy and the Floronic Man are making this thing that's going to turn everybody into plants. Because they want to stop everybody from destroying the Earth. So Batman and Nightwing decide to enlist the help of Harley Quinn, who's a good friend of Poison Ivy, to go find her and defeat her before it's too late. Now, what works about this movie is the fact that it is back to the classic style, and I love seeing that. I actually really like being able to see that on the big screen. That was really cool. You got Kevin Conroy back doing the voice of Batman, who's always great. Even the same voice actor who did Robin and Nightwing in the original series is back. So that's really cool. So just returning to that world was fun. And whenever the movie is playing it straight and actually trying to tell its story and, actually moving the plot along, it's fine. Nothing too special, nothing to write home about, but a decent, little add-on to the animated series. It feels just like an extended episode of the animated series. And that's all fun. That's all fun and good. The problem, though, with this movie is that there's other stuff in it aside from just the typical Batman story. And that stuff just... oh, God. It's all involving Harley Quinn. Now, here's the thing. I like Harley Quinn. I'm a fan of her character. I think she's awesome. But I don't get what the love for this character is, and the fact that this whole movie was made just because of the popularity of Harley Quinn. It's very obvious. Because she is the main character of this film. She is the main focus. She gets a lot to do, and to be honest, when Harley Quinn's not with the Joker, or not a side character in a bigger story, she's really annoying. At least in this movie, she annoyed me. Harley Quinn annoyed me a lot in this film. And the problem is just there's so much stupid stuff in this movie. This movie's very juvenile. Even though it's PG-13 and has a lot of sex references and all that stuff, this was just their excuse to make a little Harley Quinn comedy road trip movie. But they decided to do it in the style of the animated series. And that's what really annoys me and really gets me mad. They haven't done anything with this Bruce Timm universe since the early 2000s. And this is how they bring it back, just by doing a cheap, cash grabby, Harley Quinn movie. And also the tone is so inconsistent and so off. Most of the time this movie is a comedy. It's just a full-on comedy full of jokes and stuff. But then sometimes it's a serious Batman movie with him investigating stuff. And there's action scenes that seem like a typical comic book movie. And then cut back to fart joke. Because yeah, this movie steeps that low to do a fart joke. And oh, that was so cringeworthy when that happened. I was like, why? Why? And I think I would have been a bit more forgiving if this movie had its own animation style. This movie just feels like they were making a Harley Quinn comedy movie, and they figured their animated series animation style is a little more cartoony, not as highly detailed and stuff. So that would fit the tone of this movie, so they just threw that over it. And they thought that can get people in the seats because they like the animated series. So we got those people, and we got the Harley Quinn fans that are going to go see this, and there we go, quick buck. That's what this movie feels like, and it's so awkward and jumbled. Again, I think I would have been more forgiving if they just done their own animation style, made it its own thing. So if they had just done that, then the movie would have been fine, just went out and people would have thought, some would have liked it, some would not. But what really annoys me is the fact that it's part of the animated universe. And that's what really makes me mad, that they would do that, especially because there's stuff in this movie, there's a whole middle section of this movie that I just hate. It's the road trip section where Batman, Nightwing, and Harley Quinn are in the Batmobile driving to find clues to find Poison Ivy. And they stop off at this dive bar at one point. That's where things get grating and padding too. This movie's only 74 minutes like every other DC animated movie, but there's so much padding. There's 2 song numbers in this movie where they walk into that bar and there's people on stage singing a song and they play the entire song. And then Harley Quinn gets on the stage and sings an entire song. And you're just this whole scene does not need to even be in here. It not only tonally doesn't match with the setting of the animated series, And it just because it's all this bright and vibrant stuff, it's almost reminiscent of the 60s Batman show, which they do make a reference to that at the end of the scene that almost made me just want to say out loud, just like, screw you, movie. That's stupid. They make a joke with the titles, the big, the pow, the biffs, the oofs, and, you know, that kind of stuff. They make a joke about that, which, again, felt so out of place in this movie, because that shouldn't be in the animated series, like, universe. And those are so bad, you know, it's like, oh, instead of just pow biff, it's like crack, bleed, and then, ow, my balls. Yeah, that's the kind of humor this movie has. Wonderful. Also, I guess Bruce Timm now has some sort of fetish for his Batman characters screwing each other, because Batman and Batgirl and The Killing Joke, and now in this one, mild spoiler, I guess, but whatever, happens early on, Harley Quinn and Nightwing. Why? I don't know. It just seemed like cheap fan service and an excuse to put Harley Quinn in a bra and panties. That's just stupid. Also, the voice of Harley Quinn, it's a different actress from the original animated series, and she tries her best. I'm not like really saying she's awful or anything, but her voice is really distracting, especially at the beginning. You kind of get used to it as the movie goes on. You just kind of adjust to it. And you're like, okay, this is her voice. I'll move on. But it kind of like really I felt out of place in the beginning, especially since she's in the classic look and everything. And everybody else sounds exactly the same from the animated series. And you had this new voice doing Harley Quinn. It just sounded really off.
How about just a little something to sweeten the deal? Spa day? Autograph picture for my little cousin? He's real sick.
So, some positives again, because I've just been trashing this movie for the past few minutes. Some positives are, like I said, like when it does try to actually tell its story, and like when you have the actual villain scheme, Poison Ivy and Floronic Man's actual scheme and stuff, is silly and over the top, but it's fine. Like I'm okay with it. And when they're actually doing stuff, like at the beginning of this movie, we actually see Batman like investigating stuff and being a detective. I'm like, it's good. It's right out of the animated series, and again, nothing great, but it's fun, and it's nice to return to this universe and see like an old school like Batman adventure. Like I almost want someone to go in and cut out a lot of the terrible Harley Quinn jokes and all that stuff, add in the classic music, because there's only like one moment where you kind of hear the classic theme play, and it's kind of low in the background. It's not that like big or anything, and the music is just doesn't match the tone. It's this very jazzy kind of score to it that is fine on its own, but doesn't match the tone of this dark world where the sky is always red at night and everything like the classic animated series. But as I was saying, add in the classic music, trim out that Harley Quinn stuff, and you got a decent, like, okay two-parter for the Batman animated series. And I do like the inclusion of Floronic Man and Swamp Thing, which is a really cool element that we've never actually had in the animated series, so I like that they put that in this movie. It was actually really cool. I think what makes me the most annoyed at this movie is just the fact that it was set in the animated universe. And like when I heard they were going back to that style, like they haven't done this in forever, it's like, oh, is this going to be something big and special? And it's not. It's just a throwaway Harley Quinn movie. And that's what kind of annoys me the most. Maybe I'm being too picky about it. Maybe I'm just overthinking it because it's just, you know, an animated film. But like, I love that animated universe. And I'm not saying that that show was always adult and serious. Yeah, it had kid moments because it was a kid show.
Say, Batman, you wouldn't be single, would you?
I'm not saying that show was always super serious or anything. But when your kid's program is more mature than your actual like PG-13 movie, that's saying something. And that's what really kind of annoyed me. They decided to use that animation style in that universe to tell this super silly story. They even had some people acting out of character. Again, the whole Nightwing and Harley Quinn thing, I couldn't buy it. That being said though, there were a couple of humor moments that I did like. I'm not saying all the humor was awful. Most of it was. But I'm not saying all of it was. There are some moments. Most of the best humor is Batman's reactions, which is what a lot of the great humor was in the animated series, was just Batman reacting to stuff.
I can help you find her, but you're gonna put in a good word for me with the parole board.
No.
And that happens a few times in this movie, and when it does, it's actually really funny. I actually really like it. And there are some fun like nods thrown into the movie. You do see a cameo by Captain Clown from the animated series, which I like seeing that. That was fun. So there's a couple little fun nods here and there. So like overall, I guess I would say the movie is okay. I'm not sure if I'd really recommend it, in that like if you go in knowing what to expect, you shouldn't be too disappointed or too like shocked by how stupid it gets at times. But if you're really looking for like a return to form, like a return to that classic animated series greatness, this ain't that at all. Again, at best, it's a decent episode of the show. That being said though, I know I'm kind of jumping around in here, I'm sorry, but there were a couple like serious Harley Quinn moments that I actually liked a lot. And I thought there were some good character moments with her when they were actually taking her seriously and she wasn't just there to tell a bunch of jokes and just jump around and be crazy. There's a few moments I like because Harley Quinn in this movie, like she gets out of jail on parole and she's just trying to make a living. And there's a scene where she talks to Nightwing about how like she really can't get any good jobs. And I'm like, that's actually an interesting, like, serious moment. I like that. I thought that stuff worked. So overall, just a very mixed bag of a movie that leans more towards the disappointing side. So out of 10, I don't know, I guess I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Because I did like returning to that universe and seeing the classic animation style and seeing that on the big screen was a lot of fun and really cool. And the animation, for the most part, was really solid. There's some times animation doesn't work. It's okay. It's better than The Killing Joke, like animation-wise. Better movement and everything, but still not that great and still feels kind of cheap, which is kind of disappointing. But yeah, overall, just like, there's some very bad moments. That second act I thought was, like, it was hard to sit through. It was awful. And there's so many, like, groan-worthy moments. And if you did this in another movie with a different animation style, it might have been okay. Like, if you did a much more, like, campier animation style, then this would be a bit more passable and it has its own thing and you can just watch it, have a little fun with it, and move on with your life. But the fact that they put it in the style of the animated series and puts it in that universe, in the universe with such great films as like Mask of the Phantasm and Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, this makes it so terrible and even worse than what it really could have been. So that's Batman and Harley Quinn, and that's about it for now. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.